Eustace Kid and Basil Hawkins debuted on OPTC Global on the 27th of October 2020. Following the hype of super types introduced into the game, Bandai followed up with providing support for the Dex typing, with two brand new super type legends. The characters that debuted in this batch include Red Flag X Drake, former Drake Pirates, Page 1, Animal Kingdom Pirates Toby Ropo, and the Sugo-Fest exclusive that we'll cover today aims to be more defensive in taking hits throughout the adventure to eventually use his special to output tons of damage. Introducing Basil Hawkins the Magician, subordinate to the Dragon. In this series, we'll be traveling back in time to experience some of the older Sugo-Fest exclusive characters in their prime, aiming to show just what it was like to use these characters on their debut. I hope you enjoy the video, and without further ado, let's enter the Legends of OPTC. So thank you very much for checking out yet another episode of the Legends of OPTC, and in today's video we're covering the other half of the character we covered in last week's episode, being Eustace Kid, but this time we're looking at Basil Hawkins. Now Basil Hawkins, a lot of people were excited the fact that Hawkins was getting representation as a Sugo-Fest exclusive, but what they ended up doing in terms of the design of this character was just not what we expected. And considering, I feel like super types was almost the turning point in Treasure Cruise, where when characters were defensively focused, it definitely helped, you know, getting through content, stalling, taking your time. But when super types came out, the power jumped up pretty significantly, and characters were able to get through content without having to stall as much. And unfortunately, Hawkins still kept the mindset of being a more defensively focused character, rather than being a more offensively focused character doing a ton of damage. This is a character that basically allowed you to stall a long time, and then you kind of benefited from the amount of stalling that you did with this guy. Let's get into breaking down what he does. So he's a Dex Cerebral Slasher. Now his captain ability was a 3x attack boost. Mind you, Eustace Kid, when he came out right here, if you have, is a 4x boost at base, 3.75 to everyone else, 5x attack boost with a bomb or a super bomb slot. Comparing that to Hawkins, 3x attack boost. Yeah, so you're already starting off way lower. Everyone else gets 2.75 times attack, 1.3 times HP. It does 10% of all enemies' HP at the end of the turn, so it's a 10% health cut every single turn. And then it also recovers 50% of the damage that you took in the previous stage when you enter a new stage. Very similar to V2 Katakuri. So let's say you take 10,000 damage. When you enter the new stage, you recover 50% of the damage that you took, so you'd recover 5,000 in that example. Also, at the beginning of every new stage, increases the attack timer of all enemies by 1 turn. So this is almost like a delay. It's essentially a delay, but not really a delay, because if the enemy has like an immunity or anything, this basically still goes through that, because it isn't classified as a delay, like meaning you can't get a delayed conditional burst because of this. Essentially, when you enter a new stage, if they've got a 1-turn cooldown, it immediately clocks up to 2. If they've got a 3-turn cooldown, it immediately clocks up to 4, you know, like it's not a delay, it just increases their timer. And this basically allows you time to stall a little bit more to get through the content. So you can see very defensively focused captain effect with not a lot of damage. It has utility in the health cut, kind of. You heal every time you enter a new stage, and you increase the attack timer of enemies. That's how he works. Crewmate abilities is nothing crazy. The super type, if you use him as a captain, in order to activate it, it was a very weird condition. So for the super type to become active, you need to activate a support effect during the middle of a quest. Now, the support effect has to be activated by the enemy inflicting the action on you. Basically, if you have a support that triggers in the middle of content, that's how it would work. So let's say you have a Luffy on your team, and you have the Rayleigh support attached to Luffy, where whenever you're inflicted with Bind, Despair, or Paralysis, remove it by 2 turns. If you have a support that triggers like that, it will trigger the super type to become active. I don't know, let's say if it's like whenever you use a special, I don't know if it activates when you use a special. I think it has to be activated from an enemy gimmick. So like if the enemy has increased defense and you have a support that removes increased defense, I believe that will also help you trigger that. It's a very, very weird condition. And the effect that you get out of it isn't really that interesting either. It just gives you a damage threshold for 1 turn. The damage threshold is very impressive though, so basically any damage that goes over 500, which is most damage in the game, is reduced by a very significant percentage. Now, I don't believe we actually know what the number is, but it's fair to say it's a very significant damage reduction. You can basically use this to tank just about any hit in the game. And that's basically how it works. The special ability would deal 500 times his attack as single target damage. He changes orbs of himself and adjacent into matching. It doesn't go through block slots. And then he also adds 20 times the amount of damage that you've taken before you launched the special as additional typeless damage for 3 turns. So the example here, it says the amount of damage possible caps out at 50,000 damage taken, totaling to 1 million additional damage. So that means that the tap timing bonus damage would equate to 1 million per tap, totaling to 6 million damage per tap, per turn with all of your characters attacking. So yeah, it's not a very impressive looking kit. So this is going to be a very difficult character to kind of showcase in this video, because Hawkins is not great offensively. He's a very defensively boring unit. So I guess without further ado, we're going to jump in game and hopefully we can make something out of it. Alright, so we are now in-game ready to go with Basil Hawkins. So we have him ready to go right here. Very, very exciting stuff, right? The most riveting legend of all time, Basil Hawkins, the magician. So the friend captain for this, we're going to be using Kaido, because we're going to go up against one of the Garp challenges. Now remember with how Garp challenges and how they work, the way that it works is you need to clear this piece of content with a full team of 1 color. So that's what we're doing here. We're going to run a mono dex team, and the king of these original Garp challenges, or the old school Garp challenges, was V1 Kaido. And the fact that we're able to do that in this sense is going to be good. Now, even though Kaido has a captain ability that is predominantly focused on buffing striker and powerhouse characters, it's not really going to be that big of a deal, considering that Hawkins, you know, isn't really going to be receiving much of a damage increasing effect. Hawkins does still buff the rest of the team, which is fine. It's just the fact that Hawkins himself, and as well as Corazon on this team, not really going to be providing much here. So it's kind of whatever, man. Kaido is going to be doing the heavy lifting here. As I mentioned, Kaido is like the king of these old school Garp challenges, because there wasn't really normal attacks only, and I know in this piece of content there is going to be some normal attacks only at some point, so we will have to deal with that, but I don't think it's going to be that big of an issue. You can see, boom, Kaido just going crazy there. And remember, Hawkins does do a 10% health cut at the end of every turn. So we're going to get a health cut with Hawkins at the end of every turn. The 20% health cut every time we enter a new stage, thanks to Kaido. And then Kaido's end of turn damage is going to be doing a majority of the heavy lifting here. Alright, so first of which against Kuriel, and you see that his timer did clock up. He's normally a 1-turn cooldown. Now he's a 2-turn cooldown. So we need to get rid of this attack down. Realistically, we could probably just stall it out, but I mean, we have this guy here for a reason. We have this guy here to help us out. So we're going to use this Neptune. This is Neo Neptune, who is a powerhouse unit, and he also gives us an orb boost for our striker and powerhouse units. And he removes the attack down. He goes ahead and reduces their defense. And this is going to give us a little bit of chunk of damage to get through, but I think realistically speaking, we probably didn't even need to do all this. I mean, we could also use the switch effect of Vivi and Rebecca, which we probably should have, but again, Kaido is going to be doing most of the lifting here. So here we are against Haruta, we have Atmos, and we have Rakuyo. So he binds our specials, which does kind of suck, but it's not really that big of a deal. We can kind of get through that. So let's go ahead and switch with Vivi and Rebecca to give us a chain lock. Vivi and Rebecca also kind of like one of the premier units to be using for old school Garp challenges. The 2.5 times chain lock every single turn was quite good. Of course, this is the super evolved version. Even though we are using the super evolved version, it's still the same principle. Like, it's not really going to be that big of a deal. Let's go ahead and attack. We really should do some damage towards the strength guy. We're doing so much damage because of that orb boost. Let's see if we get the knockout. Bing. Yeah, we do. Nice. And Kaido is so good, man. Kaido is so good. This is supposed to be a video about Hawkins, man, but it's fine. This is where we can actually trigger Hawkins super tight if we wanted to do it. So you can see on this stage, actually, we got kind of lucky seeing that Fossa is now at a 5-turn cooldown. But you see that we triggered the support of the enemy effect because they increased their own attack. We have the Bato support on Vivi and Rebecca, which gives us our damage threshold, and because of that, it triggered Hawkins super type. So we can activate this whenever we want to give us a really good damage reduction ability. And because of the way that this is right now, we are looking pretty good. Like, we don't really have to do that much because we're going to be doing so much damage against this. So we're just going to go ahead and stall a little bit. We're going to take a few turns to get through this because Kaido obviously doesn't do that much damage against strength units. Okay, that's fine. And then we can kill next turn. What we can do is we can switch into VV next turn so we have type advantage. And let's see if we can generate a matching slot on Kaido. That would be ideal too. Boom. Okay. Now move on to Jozu. So All Might Jozu here, he does put up some defensive effects. He puts up increased defense and Rainbow Shield. Luckily for us, though, the special ability of Vivi and Rebecca are going to be able to remove both of those buffs. However, by using the special ability of them, it means that moving on to the next stage, we're not going to be able to use their special ability to get a chain lock. But the switch effect, should I say, to get a chain lock, not going to be a problem, though, because we have other ways to get through it. So, of course, Vivi Rebecca, I'm going to use their special. It's going to remove the defensive effects. It also gives us the color affinity boost. And then we should be able to just kill because this is not really going to be that difficult. I will try and conserve some slots because we will need the next turn to do as much damage as we can. Of course, Kaido's end of turn damage having that type advantage is pretty massive as well. So again, I guess this isn't really a great way to showcase Hawkins. This guy absolutely sucks. I don't know what to say, guys. This guy is just booty. He is a terrible, terrible legend. He did get a 6+, which did add some interesting abilities to him. But even then, he's still not great. He's really not. Alright, anyways, let's see what we have here. Now, the Corazon I have on this team is not level limit broken, so this is the base form of the unit. So let's go ahead and use his special. Main reason why I brought him is because he should be able to remove the attack down and the paralysis for us. And it also gives us... Oh, it actually removes the chain lock as well, which is cool. I did bring Crocodile for that same reason, but, I mean, that's fine. So we're going to use that. And then... Now we want to try and do as much damage as we can. Ideally, we want to get rid of Marco because Marco has the ability to heal. And we want to get through this, obviously, as fast as we can. The thing is, as well, is the way that Hawkins works is you actually want to take as much damage as possible to actually charge up his special. Because the more damage he takes, the more tap timing bonus damage he actually does. But the fact that a lot of his kit is based around... like, or at least his super type is like a massive damage reduction effect. Is kind of counterintuitive, bit of a weird effect there. Another thing here is that we do have normal attacks only, which means that Kaido's end of turn damage, Hawkins' end of turn health cut, and then any other tap timing bonus damage that we would have activated from Hawkins isn't going to activate here at all. So this is going to suck. We actually kind of have to do normal taps here in order to get through. Yes, we could use the Ho special on the ship to get through it. I'm kind of just genuinely curious to see how much damage we can do naturally. If we have to use the Ho ship special, we will do it next turn. So let's see how much damage we can do towards Marco. Okay, we almost got the knockout. That's pretty good. So we definitely need to kill him this turn. Not many good matching slots, but that's okay. I think we'll be okay. I don't remember if Vista does anything on the next turn. Could be concerning. Hopefully it's nothing too bad. Let's see. Okay, so Vista, hopefully it's nothing too crazy. Bit of damage, which is going to charge up Hawkins, which is great. Okay, he doesn't do anything yet. He might do something next turn. We could use Neptune preemptively to give us damage on this stage and the next stage, but I think that's okay. We can use the switch effect here to generate some slots. I think we should be able to kill, all things considered. I think we should be able to kill. Let's do it. Nice, nice. Okay, so now we reach the final stage versus Whitebeard and Ace. So the fact that Ace is a strength unit is typically pretty bad, but luckily for us, it's really not going to be that big of a deal because of all of these damage dealing effects that we're about to activate, as you'll see. So we're inflicted with Slotbind, does kind of suck, but I don't think it's going to be that big of an issue. I mean, realistically, probably should have leveled up Hawkins to make sure that he actually got around that. So Whitebeard removes their beneficial effects, but he didn't remove our accumulated values, and that again is another reason why Hawkins is nowhere near as good now, because the removal of your accumulated values devalues what Hawkins aims to do. So it's really, really annoying. So first thing is first, let's go ahead and activate Kaido, which is going to provide us with that 20% health cut, and then reinstate that end of turn damage, which of course is so massive. Then we can go ahead and use the special ability of Neptune to go ahead and give him a matching slot, but also give us an orb boost for our striker and our powerhouse characters. Also reducing defense is a nice touch. Then we can go ahead and use the special ability of Hawkins, which of course is going to provide us with 500 times his attack as tap timing, 500 times his attack as damage, and then apply tap timing bonus damage. So how much damage have we taken? So we've taken 37,674. So if we go ahead and multiply that by 20, I'm going to do it right here, quick maths. What is it? 37,674 multiplied by 20. So that means every tap that we do this turn is going to do an additional almost 800,000, 750,000. Let's go ahead and activate it. So with this ability alone, and then also with Kaido's end of turn damage as well, we are going to comfortably kill this content. How much damage he does from the special, 1,000,000 damage from the special alone, and then just to give us a bit more bonus damage from the affinity, let's go ahead and use the super type of Hawkins, which means that if the enemy ends up doing damage to us this turn, we're going to be able to tank it very comfortably. So now let's go ahead and do our taps. Actually, we can go ahead and switch with our Vivi Rebecca as well. And now let's go ahead and do our taps, and we should be able to win very easily. Nice, there we go. So yeah, very cool. So Hawkins, you try and stall as much as you can, tank as much damage as possible. Then you use the special, you get a bunch of tap timing bonus damage. He's very defensive. You guys kind of understand the gist of what's going on here. A very weird Sugo-Fest exclusive, to say the least. So thank God that is done. I really did not want to do this video with Hawkins just because of how much of a lame character this guy is. Even his V2 character that he got, you know, a couple years back, really wasn't that great either. So Hawkins has been a little bit shafted in terms of characters in One Piece Treasure Cruise, so hopefully he gets a better one in the future. So I'm just pulling up the little info sheet right now. The next character that we're going to be showcasing, we're moving on to the quick super types. So we're going to be moving on to Legend Smoker and Legend Sugar. I think we're gonna look at Smoker first next week. He was the headline unit of the celebration, so definitely looking forward to that one, because the next two characters that we're going to be covering is going to be definitely way more exciting than what you guys saw in this video today. So hopefully you enjoyed the video, and if you did, make sure to go ahead and leave a like, and if you want to stay up to date with all the content I post, including more One Piece Treasure Cruise content, make sure to hit the subscribe button down below. On that, guys, I'll see you guys within the next video.